All right, everybody, this is your boy Big Truck. I'm just going to let you know in about 7 hours, I'm going to be on the Breakdown, A Woman's Perspective Live, their channel. That's C Rose and Sister George. We're going to be talking about Black Men Save Yourselves, or SYMB Save Yourselves, Black Men. And we're going to be talking about why foreign women may make better wives than black women. Now, I just want to say up front, I did not make this title. I wanted to call it Why Black Men May Consider Foreign Wives because I was trying not to trigger anybody, but they made the title, so be it. I think they tried to reword it or something, but I'm not denigrating anybody. I'm just going to make my points as I see them, and I'm going to just talk about what I do, how I do it. So that's the thing. Ultimately, I'll be talking about that with them. But the thing about it is, the way I see it, I treat everything as if it's an investment. Every single dime I spend is an investment. I refuse to spend cash money anymore. What I do is I buy everything on a credit card and then I pay it off on the credit card. So this way I can snatch some of those reward points, or I can snatch whatever it is that they're offering. A lot of times you have credit cards offering rewards points. For some strange reason, I've noticed that a lot of channels have started talking a lot about credit cards lately. I did a credit card stream with my friend Michelle, and I did that before I noticed a number of other people start doing a lot of credit card talks, like what are the best credit cards to have if you're a beginner, and this, that, and other. Bottom line is, you need to have a job. You need to have a job so that you have income coming in. With that income, you are paying off your balances on whatever credit card you're using. I don't care what you're using the cards for, whether you're buying gas, whether you're paying your car note, whether you're paying your mortgage, whether you're paying your rent, whatever it is, just make sure you have enough cash so that you zero out that balance the moment that you start spending the money. So that this way you can actually build up a good credit score. And as you know, I have a perfect 850, which I've been doing my best to maintain for a while, despite the economic pandemic, despite COVID. So just to let you know, I'm going to be talking about this later on. I already see there's 2 people waiting. And if you want to join into it, just go to their channel, The Breakdown, A Women's Perspective Live. And I'm going to be on at, what is this? I think this is 7 o'clock. Yeah, it says live in 7 hours. So I think that's like 6:35. August 18th, 6:35. Okay, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is assets for protection of your money against inflation. So let me just say this before I even get started. This is really, really simple to understand. First of all, nobody gave a shit about inflation up until big investors started talking about it, because now everybody actually paid attention. I've been talking about this for the longest. The issue ultimately is when the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates, what it does is it causes bubbles in the economy, because now you have more people spending on credit. That's the very, very, very basis of it. For those of you who do not understand inflation, I recommend that you
I'm
go
here with
here
the
to,
W220.
I recommend that you go to DuckTales. It was an old cartoon that I grew up with. And you look up DuckTales inflation lesson. And if you can watch the whole episode, watch the whole episode. Unfortunately, when I was a kid, they used to actually teach us with cartoons. Now, when you turn on the cartoon, it's nothing but these stupid ass Japanese animation, stupid bullshit cartoons. You don't learn anything at all. Dragon Ball Z, you don't learn shit. You don't learn anything from Sailor Moon. You don't learn anything from Naruto. But back when I was a kid, our cartoons had to be well written. They had to be, targeted towards our age range. And they actually had to teach us lessons, life lessons. And we learned a lot about money. Like all these people complaining, they don't teach us nothing in high school. They don't teach us how to manage money. No, 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 no. That's not the high school's job. Your parents' job is to teach you that. You're supposed to learn by watching your parents pay those bills. You're supposed to learn by watching your parents get up on time and go to work. You're supposed to learn by watching your parents take care of each other. You're supposed to watch your mom so that you see what a woman is supposed to do for a man. You're supposed to watch your father so you're supposed to see what a father is supposed to do for his mother. Unfortunately, because of this liberal feminist dominated trash society that we live in, you're learning less and less and less, and you don't even know who to put the blame on. Allow me to put the blame on them for you. They're not teaching you shit, you're not learning anything, and you're getting dumber and dumber as time goes on. But I digress. So please look up that DuckTales inflation lesson if you can. Now, 9 assets for protecting your wealth. Inflation does not happen with the money itself. Inflation is what happens with the prices of the commodities that you seek to buy. Your work is your capital. So if you shoveling snow, shoveling dog shit, mowing people's lawns, your work is your capital. You are paid for your capital with cash or whatever. Cash is a commodity. Your goal is to build up as much of it as you can so that you can finance your life. You're to finance your food, your clothing, your houses, so forth and so on. The problem is, as the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates, more people end up spending more credit. Businesses spend more credit. They inflate. They get bigger. Walmart opens more stores. Best Buy opens more stores. The problem comes if there's ever a recession. Recession basically means to recede. All of the bubble starts to deflate. The problem is we're in a situation called stagflation. Stagflation, I'll pull this up. I'll pull it up because I'm not one of these people who prepares all this stuff in a fucking PowerPoint. I just pull it up as I go along. Stagflation is caused by inflation that increases, low GDP. And by the way, do not believe the government's numbers when they talk about GDP, because the problem is the government has been printing welfare checks, handing them to people, and people have been spending them. Our productivity dropped within the last couple of years. That is undeniable. Businesses were closed. Offices were closed. Factories were closed. The only things that stayed open were what was called essential services. Our GDP declined. I don't give a fuck if they say it went up. It did not. It declined. That is a fact. You also have high rates of unemployment. Well, every single week you read about the unemployment rate. You read about the number of people following unemployment, right? The people who are managing to get reemployed are re-entering the workforce, but the problem is the jobs that they're getting are typically not paying the jobs that they lost. And in some cases, they were making more money on unemployment because the government was printing out money than they were if they had stayed in that bullshit job working at McDonald's. So now all they got to do is stay home, do nothing, and now they get a $600, $700 check. And if I had a couple of illegitimate children, maybe I'll get $1,000. So the more irresponsible I get, the more money apparently the government deems to pay me. But that's also part of what stagflation is. Poor implementation of government policies. That's part of stagflation. Recession in most economic activities. Oh, the amusement parks are closed. The malls are closed. Retail is closed. Retail took a dive. I knew there were stores that I wanted to go to that I normally had in my mind that I wanted to go to. There were restaurants I wanted to go to. There were places I wanted to go to. They were closed for the last 2 years. Now, they did obviously reopen up, but they are operating at lower capacities than they were before. So yes, recession and inflation, poorly implemented government policies. And I know somebody wants to cast all the blame, but understand something. Just like what you're seeing in Afghanistan, this started back in 2001 under the Bush administration. So, yeah, I know the Obama haters and the racists want to blame Obama. I know the Trump haters and the liberals want to blame Trump. I know that everybody else wants to blame Biden. But in reality, it really wasn't his fault. It was really Alan Greenspan in the 2001 Federal Reserve. That's who you could place this blame on. Now, I can't just say him, because if you go back even further to the Reagan administration, the word stagflation popped up in the 70s. So we've been going through this shit for a long time. The only thing that kept us going was basically the before the baby boomers started to retire. Once those people started to retire and we started spending more and more and more money just to keep them alive, right now the government's spending $65,000 per second. Per second. When you take trillions of dollars and you take the actual deficits and you do the math, you get $65,000 per second. So I don't want to digress too much on this, but let's talk about some of these assets. Gold. They suggest gold. The problem with gold is nobody wants to save the value of their money. People are trying to get rich fast. We'll talk about that in a minute. Bond portfolios. Bonds aren't paying very much right now, so a lot of people are avoiding those. The S&P 500 is basically stocks. You're betting on tech stocks. You're betting on index funds, aggregate bond index, tips, commodities, REITs. Let's unpack some of that. Oh, in fact, I could actually share this one with you. Yes, real estate investment trusts. Notice real estate is the word that shows up. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And then the other thing, the S&P, we already know what that is. Real estate income. We're going to talk about that in a minute too, for sure. Index funds, yeah. Leverage loans. Some people are charging more on loans, and that helps them to manage gaining wealth. Treasury inflated protection securities. That's what TIPS means. I'm going to share this screen with you, so I'm going to share the link, so this way you can look it up yourself. But I want you to notice something. They talk about all these things, including commodities. I myself am an oil man. I purchased a lot of oil stock. It made me a lot of money. I made a number of videos talking about oil, talking about gas companies. Made me a lot of money there. But I want you to notice the thing that they don't mention. Now, mind you, this was written in May 26, 2021. Notice that they do not mention cryptocurrency. Now, some people might say, well, cryptocurrency could fall under commodities. Problem with cryptocurrency is the future of cryptocurrency is highly questionable because a lot of governments are banning it. A lot of governments are planning to criminalize it because they don't want money moved around secretly. Some governments do not want money laundering to happen. They don't want drug trades to happen. They don't want prostitution and human trafficking using cryptocurrency. So basically, governments are cracking down on cryptocurrency. So that's one of the things that's not mentioned here. Even though if it was mentioned here, it could fall under a commodity. It could fall under a commodity, or you could call it a digital asset. But for tax purposes, most people want to pretend that they can make their money and never have to pay taxes. That ain't the reality. The IRS is coming for you. The government is heavily involved in Bitcoin. They're heavily involved in Ethereum. They hold Bitcoin and Ethereum. They hold all of these cryptocurrencies because they have access now to the public ledgers. So if you think you can hide, I have an interview coming up soon with a tax professional CPA to tell you that no, you can't. I'll give you the date that we're going to go live for that. But yeah, I have a tax professional. Because see, I don't listen to these losers online talking shit like these fake crypto gurus and all these people who think they know what's what. No. I go get professionals. One of the interviews I did recently was a judge. I get a judge. I don't have to ask your ass about the law. No. I get the judge and ask him about the law. Because when I have to do the measurement, the judge knows more than you. So in this case, I got a CPA who's going to come on, talk about cryptocurrency tax law, because that's the only thing that I consider important. So anyway, these are the main things that are considered the best assets for protection against inflation. Cryptocurrency is not a protection against inflation. In fact, cryptocurrency's very value is based on the dollar. So I'm not even going to get into that right now. In fact, let's take a look. Oh, crypto's not doing so well. I guess they said dump it. Dump it. Like Bogdanov. Bogdanov said dump it. So, yeah, they're not doing too well today. So forget about them. Why housing is a good hedge against inflation. I personally believe that housing is probably the best, especially if you're a young person, you're in your 20s, you're getting ready to get started with your life. The best possible thing you can do, if you can find a house that you can afford to buy, or if your parents can leave your property and you pay them, like some of your parents have more than one property, real estate is the best possible inflation that you can have. Because the thing about it is, there ain't going to be no more land in America. There's a set amount of land. The only thing they could try to do is build on top, like sky cities or some shit, and build vertically. That's all they can do. But there's only so much land. That's why one of the wise phrases was, when there's blood in the streets, buy property. That's what the Taliban's doing right now. There's blood in the streets and they're taking over some property. So there's a number of reasons. I'll provide a link to this, but the reason why you want real estate is because if you're paying rent, all you're doing is paying somebody else's mortgage. You think you can save up money while you're paying rent. The reality is, as time goes on, because of inflation, your money is worth less. So that means $100 today will buy more than $100 10 years from now. That's a fact. I mean, if you look back to the 1980s, the average salary was much lower than it has to be now in order for you to survive. A person in the 1980s or the 1970s or the 1960s, if they were making between $20,000 and $30,000, they were doing pretty good. They could support a whole family on a wage like that. Not anymore. Not anymore. So my bottom line is putting your money in real estate is probably the best possible option. Now, when I say real estate, what I'm talking about primarily is you paying into your own property and building equity. Equity is the value of the property minus the mortgage balance. So by the time you pay that place off, that place will have probably appreciated in value and it will net you more than you actually put into it. Because keep in mind, if you have a mortgage that's $2,000 a month, your $2,000 right now is worth more than it's going to be in the future. So the farther this time goes on, as you pay down that debt, it'll actually get cheaper for you to pay that same amount of money in the future because the value of the money is slowly decreasing. That's advanced math for right now. I'm going to stay away from that. I'm just going to get to my point. Real estate is probably the best possible hedge against inflation that you could possibly have. You got to live somewhere. You can't live in your Bitcoin. You can't live in your Ethereum. You hope that the values of these things are suddenly going to skyrocket and that you'll suddenly be a crypto millionaire. But the reality is, lately, that's really not happening. The news likes to hold up the few people who took their cryptocurrency and managed to buy enough of it early on in order to benefit from the Ponzi scheme, and they cashed out and bought a Lamborghini, or they bought even a house. But the reality is, that's not a reality for most people anymore. The most you may make is a couple $100. You might make $200, $300. You might make $400, $500. You could have just as easily done that in the stock market. But a lot of people are excited and attracted to crypto. Some people just like taking extensive risks. I'm not one of those people. I would rather put my money into solid properties that once those things, again, once they're paid off, first of all, you can live in them, and once they're paid off, they have appreciated in value. Which brings me to the last thing. Las Vegas landlord accused of shooting tenants, killing two. Why is this? Well, there's a number of people who have not been paying their rent. There's a number of people who have been getting money and haven't been paying rent. I'm fortunate. My tenants have been paying. I'm fortunate because I had the foresight to only allow people into my property who I knew were pretty much ironclad. City workers who are essential servants, those people are ironclad. They're going to have their job. COVID didn't stop nurses. COVID didn't stop garbage men. COVID didn't stop construction workers who had to repair bridges and tunnels and shit. When you get a city worker has access to loans better in many cases than a regular person because their jobs, as long as they don't commit no felonies, their jobs are pretty much ironclad. It says Las Vegas police have released the arrest report for the man accused of shooting 3 people and killing 2 in a neighborhood known as Naked City. Police say they received a call shortly before 12:30. So this guy's up there shooting people early in the morning about a shooting on West Chicago Avenue. When officers arrived, they found a female lying face down outside in the driveway. The female died at the scene. A male victim, Safrino Reyes, was taken to UMC trauma with approximately 9 gunshot wounds. So this motherfucker right here wasn't playing. This guy don't fuck around. Orlando Lozano Sanchez, 78, who lived in the home and rented it out to various people, was arrested for the shooting. According to the witness, Sanchez became angry a few days ago because the other 3 people who were living with him had not paid rent. The witness said She suggested to Sanchez that he evict the occupants, but he reportedly told the witness I'm going to handle this my way. I'm going to handle this. Don't worry, muchacho. I'm going to handle this my way. Gets the AR-15. Check, check. I'm going to handle this my way. Load up them fucking bullets. I'm going to go over there. You take these bullets. You take this. Say hello to my little friend. So he handled it his way, basically. Police also interviewed another man who lives in the house. He told police that he was in a back bedroom when he heard several gunshots. He looked outside. He saw Sanchez standing in the hallway, smiling and laughing. Ha 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 ha! I handle this my way. These fucking peasants. Okay. Lopez's roommate then opened his door and Sanchez reportedly began pushing his way in. He then heard his roommate yelling, "No! No, Sanchez! No! No, Papi! No!" And a woman screaming. After that, he heard several gunshots. A black semi-automatic handgun was found under a bush on New York Avenue. Sanchez refused to New York. Why has it got to be New York Avenue? This shit happened in fucking Las Vegas. Why is it New York Avenue? Okay. Sanchez refused to answer any questions at police headquarters. You no speak English. No speak English. Okay. So anyway, Sanchez is facing 2 charges of murder, 1 charge of attempted murder. A Las Vegas judge ordered him on Wednesday to be held without bail, and his next court appearance is August 16th. So as you can see, tensions are getting high. Last year, a lot of Americans became first-time gun owners. A lot of Americans went out, they got scared, they bought some guns, and now we've got more gun owners than ever before. We got road rage shootings. We got people shooting husbands and wives. You got wives shooting their husbands. You got wives chopping their husbands up and getting the kids to help chop them up. You got women shooting their lesbian lovers. It's like it's all pandemonium out there. All I can do is I can keep the Desert Eagle cocked and hope that nobody ever comes for me. But I guarantee you there'll be half quarter-inch holes in your ass because the Desert Eagle don't play. So bottom line is, there are some downsides to owning real estate. This was one of them. He had tenants. The tenants weren't paying, and he lost his goddamn mind. He decided to go in there shooting. He said, you know what? I don't have time for this court eviction bullshit. I'm going to go evict these people my way. My way. So that's pretty much what happened. So I will say this. Nothing is without its risk. Real estate does have some risks, and this is, as you can see, this is one of them. So, bottom line is this. If you're trying to protect your money, you're trying to build wealth, you got to focus on these 9 main assets. The other thing that they don't mention is partnerships with other people. You have to be careful with domestic partnerships. You have to be careful, obviously, with marriage. There are a lot of people who are going to get married because it's just part of what they feel they need to do for their culture or for what they need to do for themselves. But you need to make sure that you have some level of protection for your assets if you're married. Some people don't tell the other spouse about their assets unless, they've been in marriage for like 20, 30 years and maybe they'll mention it. Some people hide their assets. One thing I would recommend, don't co-sign for shit. Do not co-sign for nothing. Don't co-sign for loans. Don't co-sign for car notes. Don't co-sign for home loans. Don't co-sign for nothing. The moment you co-sign, you're basically married to a person. If you co-sign, you're married to that person financially. You don't want to do that. I was talking to a number of people this weekend about estate planning. You need to plan your estate. You need to understand where your assets are going just in case, because something could happen to any of us. I could be outside right now and something could happen. I could get hit by a car. Bottom line is, you need to have beneficiaries planned out. You need to have all that planned out. So I'm going to end this on that note. I'm going to say these are some assets that you really need to focus on. You don't have to have them all. The more you have, probably the better. You don't have to spread your money out that far. But real estate is probably the easiest one to focus on, and that's what I recommend. If you're going to go the route of being a landlord, keep you cool, try to get you some city workers. Make sure you take in a large security deposit just in case these motherfuckers decide to short you on the rent. You tell them, okay, listen, if you don't have the rent this week, that's okay, but I got your security deposit. I'm going to use your security deposit to pay that damn rent. Okay, so make sure you come up with my money later. But it doesn't have to go this far. I mean, you got a 78-year-old man out here shooting people. You don't need that. Nobody needs that. So that's the bottom line. Everything is with a risk, and you just need to make smart decisions. You need to align yourself, position yourself well, and that's the way that you're going to make it through. Because let me tell you something. Kevin Samuel said it. Winter is coming. You don't know how many women going to be banging on your door, looking for a place to stay, looking for some cash, looking for some money. You don't know how many men are going to be banging on your door, looking for cash, looking for a place to stay. First day I moved into my second house, the goddamn mailman was asking me whether or not I was renting. I was like, no, I ain't renting nothing. Most of my neighbors think I'm a damn drug dealer because they see me in my house and they're like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me you're able to live in your house and you don't have to rent that shit out to nobody? I'm like, no, I ain't got to rent this shit out to nobody. It's just me. They think I'm a damn drug dealer. I'm on the up and up, but they think I'm doing something illegal. Nope, I'm not. I'm just smart about money. And I'm trying to explain this to you so that you can be smart about money. But the problem is on YouTube, this algorithm's fucking me over. My voice doesn't carry that far. A lot of things that I told you were going to happen have come to fruition. And it just gets washed away. So it's no big deal. I'll let the bigger channels like Stephen Graham and I'll let the bigger channels with the crypto gurus lead you astray with your money, because all I can do is say what I say, and whether or not you hear it or not, that's just what it is. But this is a hobby for me, and I enjoy it, so I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. But that's the bottom line. So make sure you pay attention to these 9 main assets. Look at my credit card stream that I talk about how to use your credit card to build your finances, to build your credit score, to make yourself a stronger person, to make yourself an all-around stronger person. Make sure you take a look at that. And that's that. So that's all I have to say. Questions, comments, URL section, all of it's there below for you.